guard combination like Scott and Kraft, what kind of dynamic does that do for you, given their ability to steal the ball?
Well, it's Smith, it's their whole team, but it's really I would never just make it be two guys. I mean, Lenzel Smith has done a lot of great things too. They are tremendous defensively. They attack the dribble. They do a great job of getting into the elbows, and they'll come off their man. They can cover a lot of ground. They're very, very experienced, and they use that experience to create havoc. You know, you dribble, and if you're not tough and strong with the dribble, or if you over-penetrate, if you don't make simple plays, simple passes, it can really hurt you.
What do you have with that in mind? What do you have you guys, especially your guys, think about going into this? What do you
just be very smart, very, very strong with the ball, and there's certain places to try to stay away from attack point wise, and other places that are a little more tangible for us. But the big thing is to keep the ball moving, keep the bodies moving, use the entire court, and be very. I mean, I can't stress it enough. Be very, very strong with the ball, and have your head. And don't drive into a crowd and allow them to be at their best. You know, you have to make quick passes, early passes, and keep your head up.
When you went back and watched the film, I know you talked about you were impressed with Sheehy just right after the game. When you went back and watched the film, what were your thoughts?
He played excellent. He started running from the beginning of the game, and he ran the entire game. He was the beneficiary of moving extremely well without the ball, being very good with the ball, playing very good defense, but used the entire court, whether he was running the court, whether he was getting to the corner, whether he was playing off the top. He did an outstanding job in many areas, and he was very hard to keep up with, whether he was running the court or whether he was moving in the half court. I thought it was great to see that, and great for the young guys to see that works, and great for him to have a day like that, because that's what he's capable of when he's playing with and without the ball like that.
You mentioned after that game that it hasn't always been easy for Will this year, basically. What has this year been like for him? What are some of the challenges, I guess, he's had to deal with being, the senior captain?
Oh, I don't know. I think you have to ask him. I think he's done a great job. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of expectations. He's extremely smart, very cerebral. He can. What I like about him right now is that there's no qualms whatsoever that he knows his voice matters. And when he plays that way, and when he leads that way, whether it's practice or games, everybody is better. And I think he's a great teammate, because no one can ever look at him and think that he didn't bring his absolute best energy level and fierceness every day. And then when he talks and he plays with that confidence the way that he's been playing, it's infectious for everyone. So I think it's just all part of a growth process, as a player and as a person. And you have to get used to new guys. I mean, that's a big part of it. But you also have to understand that your voice really matters, because you know what you're talking about and you know what you're doing, no matter who's out there. And we're much better when he's doing it, and we're not nearly as good when he's not. And he makes the game easier for others because of his leadership.
What's he done maybe toward the end of the year that maybe he didn't at the beginning, in terms of, especially when it comes to dealing with the guys, in terms of making sure everybody's doing, and I guess in terms of using his voice? That's
simple. Remember that he's really good. He's remembering that he's a really good player, and just putting all that together. And I know that sounds minor, but it's big. I mean, that edge is okay. When he's got that edge and that toughness, and he brings great joy to the game. And that's when he's at his best, and playing like he's a really good player.
Have you seen some of the younger guys, maybe get more vocal because they've watched him, they've learned from him?
Well, I think they're getting more vocal because that's just what they have to do, but we're still not, where communication is the hardest thing in any situation, whether it doesn't make any difference. Family, business, teams, it doesn't make any difference. I mean, a lot of people can get you 70, 80% of the way there communication-wise. It's that last 20%. It's like the last 20% of effort. Those are what really separate you. And our team has had to grow in that area a bunch, and I'm sure it helps that he's like that. But eventually, you just start to understand that that's really important. And we're not all the way there yet. And what we're trying to get this team to understand is the more communicative they are, the more aware they'll be. The more aware they are, the more communicative they'll be. And then all of a sudden, you're not getting beat on back cuts. You're not making mistakes in game plans. You know, you have to be. When you're not in practice, when you're on the outside, it's one thing to say, okay, get a mental rep. I don't think that's good enough. You got to get verbal reps too. So when you're standing on the outside, you're not only watching what's happening, but you have to talk it through. And then you have to carry it onto the court and talk it through. We spend as much time talking about that and trying to get that across as much as anything we do outside of the X's and O's of what we're trying to get accomplished in basketball here. And I think it's a sign of our youth. I think it's a sign of our society that it's very, very hard to really understand that verbal communication is paramount. But you have to keep doing it. I mean, look how many times people can look at the iPhone on a given day. Look how many times they don't have to verbally communicate with someone. Well, that doesn't work in basketball. You've got to be able to talk it. And you know, the old term, have your head on a swivel and play the ball, see your man. You know, those things are just paramount to having any type of success. So in answer to your question, do I think they're getting some of that from him? Absolutely. But I think it's got to be something that becomes part of who they are, where they can't have success, you know, in the long term.
Imagine this is true for all of them, but is there any one young guy, freshman or sophomore, that you've really seen sort of take from Will and grow directly because he's got a lot from Will?
I couldn't single anybody out, I don't think. No, I think they've all, I would probably say the sophomores as much as the freshmen. Will's got an edge, and he's never afraid to talk the game and to help them be better on the court with what they need to do. And sometimes he can be a little more, he could be even a little more demanding, and because he's got it in him. And you know, leadership is never for the faint-hearted. It's leadership is never about well, you know, let's take a census. You know, let's get a consensus on what we think is best. That doesn't work. Sometimes you've got to have real-time communication, and it doesn't always sound good. You know, but it gets the point across. And I think I see some sophomores as well as the freshmen responding to that. And I think Yogi's doing the same thing. And I think that's, you know, when those guys, when players really can talk about what they see, what they know, not afraid to tell a teammate what they need to hear in that immediate juncture, not just in a film session, but that immediate, can just make your team so much better. And there's times we do a good job of that, but we're not as consistent yet. But when Will is consistent like he is, and when Yogi's consistent like he is, especially the last couple of weeks, it makes us a lot better.
You talked at the beginning of the year about Aaron Kraft and putting him in that sort of.
No, absolutely.
What puts him there for you? I guess obviously you've seen him
defensively. I mean, the leadership I think is clear, and the intelligence is clear, the toughness is clear. But I think what makes him, and I think even the fact that he'll take and make big plays, big shots, doesn't have to be the one that takes the shot. It's clear. I'm sure everybody's seen that. What separates him from me is the ground he covers every possession. And he does multiple things, multiple times in a possession, almost every possession. That's hard to do. That's hard to do. I mean, he can be in the corner guarding somebody and come all the way over on the other side and help. He can be playing the ball. As we told our young guys, you have no idea what you're getting ready to see when it comes to hand speed and hand quickness, not only from him, but from the other guards with the way they attack the basketball. And he's been doing that from the beginning. And I think the thing that I look at him and see is a guy that's always understood his impact on winning. And because he's one of those rare people that can set the pace for his team, and he's very, very good at trying to set the pace for the other team. And when we didn't let him do that last year down there, we won. When we let him do it here, we lost. And along with the fact that we weren't good enough with the basketball. But that's a unique trait, and he's got it.
Kind of talking, I guess, about that. I know Iowa likes to play fast, but did you feel like there were certain things that you were doing Thursday night, forcing turnovers, quick shots, things like that, that maybe were forcing them to speed up even more than the way that the speed they want to play?
I don't know. I don't know that. I thought we were very aggressive, and they always play fast. Certainly we're capable of. when you watch the film, you see the things he could have done better, especially defensively. There's no question about that. And we adjusted some of that during the game, and we substituted some of that during the game. But the biggest thing we did that night was we were committed to the spacing, and no matter what, and that's what you have to be. And we didn't do as good a job of that at Wisconsin. That's why I like the improvement level in such a short period of time. They absorbed what they saw in film. But it wasn't like Iowa was playing bad either. They got a lot of really, really good scores, and they can score in bunches. So, to me, I think they're very comfortable playing at that pace. So, I don't know.
Anything else?
Yeah, Tom, this may impact tomorrow's game or not, but in general, when you have, say, a 3-point lead with about 10 seconds, 8 seconds left in the game, is your approach that you want to foul, you don't want to foul? How do you handle it?
I have different views of that. It depends on a lot of things. It's not a steadfast rule to me. If I had to err on one side, I'd go with not fouling, because I think there's too many things that can go wrong when you really break it down. You got to be really good at it, and you have to be really, really good at rebounding that free throw. And you all look at Noah with a couple of putbacks he's had lately. I mean, it only takes one mistake to be costly. So there's different views of it, and there's different strategies to it. And I think it kind of depends on the situation, what that game situation is. But it's not a steadfast thing to do it by any stretch.
Have you done both, fouled and not fouled?
Yeah, I've erred more on the side of, I shouldn't say erred, it's worked a lot of times in trusting the defense. And I think when you have a team that can switch pretty much every position, it's better to do that. But that's not always the case. So then you have to, and a lot of it depends on who's on the floor. And there's no question about that. Like, going back to the Minnesota game, they made a quick substitution which changed the free throw percentages drastically. You know, at the end of that game, when you foul, you know, with 7 seconds differential. And if it's somebody else getting the ball inside of that sequence, if they keep them on the floor, maybe you foul, you take your chances because percentages say it. But when you've got guys that can make foul shots, you have to be careful, because teams really can rebound off the free throw line, and all they got to do is keep it alive. You know, and I'm not big on losing the game, even if we'd have to go into overtime. But again, I'm saying all that, and we can foul up 3 tomorrow. You know, it could change.
Real quick, well, obviously I asked you about this when, you know, the night you played, basically, but you mentioned Hunter's, his discipline still ongoing, is going to be ongoing. I guess what's that mean specifically? What do you still have him do, and what's he done to go over and above what you asked?
We're just continuing to have his discipline ongoing, and you're welcome to refer back to that statement, but I'm not going to discuss any further. I don't think you expect me to, but I appreciate the attempt. We're going to keep doing what we do. We've never really talked about what we had him doing, correct?
Right, yeah.
So we're not going to do it now. And that's not important that that's anything other than in-house, but it's ongoing, exactly what it said. So, okay.
All right.
Thanks.